Hey everybody. So today I want to talk to you about Hamlet Act 3, Scene 2. So in this scene, this is the famous mousetrap scene, which is the name that Hamlet gives to the play that he creates, the play within a play. And he calls it that, as he says, he calls it the mousetrap to catch a rat, if you will, the rat being Claudius, right? So anyway, Hamlet's backstage. Everybody's getting ready. The performers are getting ready. People are starting to take their seats. And he's giving the actors some last minute stage direction. Not that they really need it, and not that he is any sort of expert to be giving them this direction, but whatever. Um, so he gives them some advice, and I think personally, this is actually Shakespeare telling the people of his time, the other actors, the other playwrights of his time, this is how it's done. This is how you create good plays on the stage. You want to make sure that your actors on stage emote in a believable fashion so that the people in the audience can relate to what's happening on stage and be that much more moved by it. And that was a philosophy that Shakespeare had, and it's one that he emulates through Hamlet in this scene. So this is not just Hamlet speaking to these actors, but Shakespeare speaking to the people of his time. So anyway, the actors get ready, and Horatio's there, and Hamlet tells Horatio to get a seat near Claudius so that he can keep an eye on him. He wants Horatio to corroborate his story. He wants to watch Claudius like a hawk, and he wants Horatio to watch Claudius like a hawk, so that the two of them can compare notes later, so that Hamlet can be that much more confident that what he saw was what he actually saw. So, anyway, Hamlet takes a seat, and he spends the majority of the time while they're waiting for the play to begin, he spends the time insulting Ophelia and his mother. He's taking very personal, very vulgar jabs at both women for perceived disloyalty and betrayal that he feels that they have committed against him, and in particular with his mother, against his father. So the play begins, and this is kind of funny. I mean, him giving barbs to his mother and Ophelia is insulting, kind of humorous. Um, but then the play begins, and Hamlet's actually heckling his own play, which is, I think, kind of funny. Um, but anyway, uh, the play is performed, and Claudius watches in front of everybody. He watches these actors perform what he did to his own brother. The secret is out. Now, nobody besides Claudius understands the significance of what's happening on stage, except for Claudius and Hamlet, but Claudius freaks out and he runs out of the room. And this abruptly ends the play because, I mean, this was a huge commotion and he's the most important person in the room. And yeah, he just ran out of the building. So the play stops, everybody freaks out, everybody's running everywhere trying to figure out what the heck happened. And um, Hamlet compares notes with Horatio, and sure enough, Hamlet is now 100% sure that the ghost was telling the truth, and he is invigorated. He is like, I got it. This is the news I needed, and Claudius is mine finally, and he's super excited about this. And he sets off to go find Claudius to kill him. He is unfortunately intercepted by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They are like, Hamlet, what's going on with you? Talk to your friends. He's like, I don't have time for this. You two are idiots. Get out of my way. And they tell him that his mother is very pissed off at him about this vulgar play and his vulgar behavior before the play, and she demands an audience with him privately. And so Hamlet's like, fine, whatever, sure. And then Polonius comes by, and Polonius starts talking down to Hamlet. And this pisses Hamlet off. He's like, who are you? And Hamlet's like, you know what? Everybody get out of my face. I will go and talk to my mother when I'm darn good and ready. And so they all leave him alone, and he then makes his way to go talk to her. Now, it's important to note a few things here about this scene. First of all, this scene is very significant in that it is the climax of this play. The play within a play is the beginning of the climax. Now, the climax extends for a little bit, but this is the beginning of the climax. And I will tell you on a later scene when the actual climax like hits the peak. Okay, this is the beginning of that. And it's a turning point for Hamlet because up to this point, Hamlet had the ability to basically excuse away his procrastination by saying, oh, well, it was just, I just wasn't sure if the ghost was telling the truth and I had to be sure, and I just didn't have the evidence yet. And he was kind of making those excuses for himself in his procrastination. But now there is no more excuse. He has the evidence he needs. Claudius is 100% guilty, and there is no more excuse. Hamlet has to enact on his revenge now. And while that makes him kind of excited, it also makes him a little bit intimidated and frightened at the same time. He has no more excuses for being lazy and procrastinating. The other thing that this scene kind of illustrates is that the veneer, the composure that everybody is covering their faces with, the sanity, the professionalism, the safety and security of knowing who they are and what they're about, it's starting to crack in just about every major character. You know, all these major characters are starting to question themselves. Hamlet's mom, the combination of Hamlet insulting her before the play and her watching this queen up on the stage fall in love with her husband's killer, I mean, these things were starting to bother her. Ophelia, very much bothered by Hamlet's refusal of her love and then his continued insults. Claudius growing more and more paranoid, Hamlet losing more and more of his grip on sanity as he continues to have to pretend to be insane for months on end. I mean, everybody is starting to crack a little bit. And so Hamlet makes his way to see his mother. And that ends scene 2.